Hey, it's good to be here. Thank you so much, Trayana. It's a pleasure. Get a chance to talk to you about what we got going.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I mean, this right here is something I think as soon as we heard the news that the participatory budgeting budget was going to go to the Office of Civil Rights, I hit you up like, all right, John, I need to stay engaged. I need to be informed, but really, I want the community to know what's going on. Tell us a bit about Office of Civil Rights in general. What kind of things do y'all cover?
So, Seattle Office for Civil Rights, OCR, euphemistically known, globally, we guard and protect civil rights, right? So we protect folk with disability. We protect all the protections around civil rights globally, right? We enforce civil rights laws at the city level. We do and we do some policy work, right? This work around participatory budgeting. We created a division, a community investments division, to really shepherd the PB process, right? So, and we've been engaged in this for about a year. It came to us in 2021, some of 2021.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of folks were like, whoa, okay, maybe that's a really great move, because I think some of the concern in the community is, this PB process, is it going to hit the people that need it the most? And is it going to actually serve those who fought for this process to occur? And so there's been some talk about that. How are you guys really stewarding the process to ensure some of those pillars of what the community was looking for are definitely embedded in the process?
Trae, you raised a really good point, and my colleague Manu is here to really get into some of the weeds. We'll share some time. But one of the things about the process, about being deliberate with engaging Seattle community around making sure all voices are heard and making sure these resources, this part of the budget, this approximately $30 million, go to the folk who, the original intent of the folk who were out there protesting, following the murder of George Floyd. I want to back up real quickly. I don't think I answered the question around what OCR does. So not only do we do enforcement, right? We have enforcement division, but we also we staff commissions coming out of Seattle City Commissions, Human Rights Commissions, the Women's Commissions, LGBTQ Commissions, and Disability Commissions, right? So just wanted to mention that.
Well, also, too, I want to talk about your role specifically there, because you are Community Engagement Director. Do I have it right?
Community Investments Director. That's close enough.
Investments. Yeah. But this is really important, because for the Office of Civil Rights to understand that they have a duty to ensure that investments are happening in a proper way that embeds a civil rights process, a civil rights foundation. How do you do that in your role, John, as Community Investments Director? How do you do that?
So globally, our whole intent is, how does the city invest in community-based work, right? In ways that are equitable and in ways that allow the community to assess these investments, right? And dictate where these investment goes, right? So really, our whole intent is, how do we get at the status quo? Because, the cities, municipalities around the country have been investing in communities for a long, long, long time. And how do we move the needle?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And how do we take direction from community? Community, we know folk closer to the problem are closest to the solutions, right? And so that's our whole intent. And one of the ways we stay engaged, we have community panels that rate, that look at RFP, request for proposal applications, right? We have one process where actually the community panel decided what the investment strategies are going to be, who the target community, target applicants were. So staying in deep, real, transformational relationship with community. And Trae, I'm going to keep it 100. It's a dance. It's a dance. And I think being accountable and ensuring fidelity to some principles, right? Being transparent, being super communicative, right? Talking to folk, letting folk know what's going on. That's how we're doing it right now. Now that could change for the better as we get more information. but that's how we try to do it.
Well, one of the things that I think is I want to touch on while I have you here, John, is you really bring a unique lived experience that allows you to do this work in a way that comes from, you being a community member and having a wide variety of ways that you engage with community on so many different topics when it comes to equity, when it comes to undoing institutionalized racism. I mean, I have seen you be in community outside of your role at OCR that I'm sure also informs how you move within the office. I just want to talk a bit about, your background that got you really prepared for this role and how you bring all of that to OCR.
I stand on the shoulders of a lot of folk. I got involved in organizing with the Black Prisoners Caucus and formed and the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, based in New Orleans, People's Institute Northwest here in Seattle, and the Village of Hope, right? And folk showed me a lot of grace, a lot of patience, and just gave some principles around how do you leading with relationships, right? Leading with relationships, and not so much being focused, I think, on outcomes, Trae, but what's the process?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I appreciate that. But I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
I got here basically through the BPC, the Black Prisoners Caucus. I need to give a plug for the BPC, right? I got here through the BPC and through People's Institute, Village of Hope, and folk just sewing a lot, Africa Town, Black Star Line, right? A Life Enrichment Bookstore. Those were the institutions. So I re-entered, after a period of incarceration. And those are the institutions, quote unquote, I re-entered, right? It wasn't, Seattle Public Schools. It wasn't University of Washington. Sometimes, folk talk about, re-entry like, we're coming from Harvard's quad, right? For Black and brown folk, what institutions are we re-entering? And these are the people who said, hey, we miss y'all, and we want to support the organizing work. And those are revolutionary concepts to hear when you're doing a bid. You feel me?
Well, I do. And this is why I wanted to dive into it, because, having spent some time with you and being able to be in community with you, I say that these are the kind of people we need in these kinds of positions. And I think far too often we have a lot of people who actually are not rooted or connected to what's happening on the ground, and particularly what's happening in community, to be able to bring that to the office. And I think that to any office or government department or institution, whatever it is, for me, I go, there needs to be more of that. And we need to be able to build that bridge between the brilliance that's going on in our community and what needs to be happening inside of these offices. And I really appreciate how you said, being led by community, which is so key here. So I'm so glad that you were able to join me today, John. Me and you could go on forever. I really appreciate you bringing your expertise and your experience to bear when it comes to this PB process. A lot of folks have been concerned about it. So thank you so much for laying a good foundation. Now I'll get to dive in more details with Mono, but I just want to thank you so much. And look right there, if folks are trying to connect with Office of Civil Rights, if they're like, hey, I want to learn more about these commissions, you can tell them right there how they tap in.
Yeah, so we're located on 810 3rd Avenue, but Seattle Office of Civil Rights, Seattle Office of Civil Rights.gov, right? Telephone number 206-684-4500. Call, leave a message. If you want more information on any of the work, any enforcement issues, any work with commissions, and particularly about the participatory budgeting process. Thank you, Trae. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, John. Great work. Oh, you guys.